and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. Today we're back working on number 13, Dead End, and hopefully we're going to get the house looking a little less attractive. It needs some distressing, definitely needs some distressing, and we're going to work a little bit on the inside. So let's get on with it. If you've watched the first part of this build, you'll know that this is a Petite Properties kit and that I'm turning it into something of a sort of spooky, semi-magical sort of a shop. Now, if I take off the front, will come off, you can see that I've got two very clean and tidy looking rooms inside. I don't want them to look this clean and tidy, so they need distressing. And then if I remove the roof, which I will have to move that a little bit to do it, I've got the attic to deal with as well. Now I have got a lot of furniture kits that I bought sort of with this project in mind. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to include yet, so I may make some of these up and see what fits where and how it looks, and then maybe decide to do something completely different. I don't know how many of these are going to go in. I know some of them are, some of them will probably get put aside for another project in Dead End. I've got a couple more to do yet. And I am eventually going to do the entire street. But yeah, so I'm going to be making some furniture. I'm going to be distressing the actual house, making it look more abandoned, and finishing the outside because I haven't done the planks that go across the windows and the door. And I am thinking that I'm going to put one across the door, maybe make it look like somebody's prized one off so that you can still sort of sneak in even though it's supposed to be boarded up. I've also got the furniture that I made in a previous video. I need to figure out where these are going to go. I'm thinking that this one is going to go in the main shop downstairs. This may go up on the first floor in what will be more of a showroom. Not sure yet. As I say, it's not set in stone, but I hope you'll follow me on this little journey. I have been around the inside with my usual mix of black paint and water, and I've aged most of it. I appear to have forgotten to do the ground floor, actual floor, at least all of it. I've done some bits but not all. I don't know what happened there. And this will be my first layer of distressing, which is just to sort of tone down the cleanness. I did inside the roof as well, but the outside being a darker colour, I need to use something lighter to distress it. What I've got is I've got some very pale grey. This is my storm cloud, I think it's called, pale grey, and some water, and I'm going to use some of that on the darker bits to sort of give it a different look. Now I'm actually going to start with this on the room with the dark wallpaper. I'm going to put some of this on. It's quite a messy sort of a job because what I'm doing is I'm basically trying to dirty it up without getting large quantities of paint everywhere. And as you can see, you always get more on the brush than you intend in the first place, and I just sort of dab it on vaguely and spread it around just to add a bit of dimension, I suppose you would say. You see that's a thicker bit there, but it'll give a bit of a bit of dirt and grime and stuff. Now I'm going to put this aside and let that dry off a bit and see if it needs any more. And I'm going to do some on the outside of the roof. Now I'm going to try using a piece of old makeup sponge because I want to see if I can get a different sort of texture. And I'm actually hoping that doing this I can get all the lines for my shingles, my tiles, a bit more visible, that this will at least mark a few more of them to stand out a bit. What I'm actually going to do with this, if I find some scissors, I've got everything on that side of my desk, is I'm going to cut that off a bit because it's an old one that I've just found lying about. It's a bit rough now, but that doesn't matter. I should do it, and I can just splodge a bit of this sort of dirty water basically. If this isn't enough once it's dried, I will go back and add more paint, but it's a bit of a experiment in the first place because you don't want it too light, but at the same time you do want I think I'm going to have to and this is just obviously the windows didn't come out very well with the paint, but I think that actually works for my advantage because they already look quite distressed. So we will put this to one side, we will see what we've got when it's dried, and I'll be back with you shortly. I did actually go back and add a bit more of the paint to the water, and as a result my front finish is a bit more obvious. I've been back and done the roof again, but I'm waiting on that to finish drying off, and I like this a bit more. It looks very, not very nice, which is the look that I'm going for. I'm not sure what else I'm going to add as far as distressing's concerned on the outside. I may leave it because I do want to get all the houses from this set for this street, and I may add some more distressing when I actually put them onto a board. I'm going to make a street scene at some point. That's going to be a way down the line, but I'm going to make a street scene. So there may be some more added so that, you know, they fit in with the others. But as a basic distressed front for my sort of spooky shop, this is looking good. The next thing that I need to do is I need to figure out how I'm going to do my planks, because the house is supposed to be boarded up. And what I've done is I have done one side of these with quite a dark alcohol marker, and I'm going to add pieces. I think there's going to be 2 on the window, and there's going to be some down here. And I'm going to go off because I want to find my white fine paint pen, and I think I'm going to actually do the other side. I've only done one so far just to see what it looked like. I think that looks quite good, and then we'll see about attaching these. And obviously the shop's still going to be open, which which is what I need the white pen for. I need to write on one of these. And another one, I'm going to actually cut it in two, so it actually looks like somebody's broke it open and pulled it aside, twisted it round, that kind of thing. So at least that's the plan. I have stuck the planks in place. It's really simple. I just put a little dot of glue either side where I wanted it and put it into place. Nothing fancy. I've done my signs for the door. You can still get in, you've just got to be a bit adept to get around the bits of wood that are sticking out, but obviously if you want to go in, you will get in. And yeah, the shop is open. Now, I could have gone to a bit more detail regarding nails, but all I've got is a fine pen in black, and I've just put in a little dot at either end just to represent that there's some kind of nail there. I could have made a hole and then filled it in with a bit of colour, but I think that's enough for this scale. So this is my outside done for the time being. I'm now going to start having a look at some furniture and see if I can't get at least one of the rooms in the house decorated after some kind of a fashion. After filming the last bit, I went off and I went through my furniture and I picked out what I thought I was going to need for my ground floor, for my actual shop part of this build. And I've built all the pieces. Now, obviously, this one you may have seen before. It featured in the first video that I've done for this project, and that is all nicely finished. So that, which is an haberdashery counter, is ready to go in. But I made up these 5 pieces. I think this one came from the advent calendar from last Christmas, and the others are all pieces I bought. I haven't filmed myself making this, mostly because that would be quite boring and repetitive. And I've done several videos before showing how you make the Petite Properties furniture, and to be fair, most of it is pretty much very similar, very straightforward, and these were mostly shelves, so they were mostly the same. So I made these and I finished them in a selection of finishes using alcohol inks. And obviously the bit that you're really going to be interested in, I know the bit that I would really be interested in, is how I'm going to dress them. I've got my main shop counter. I want to produce something that looks like some kind of till. I would love something that resembled a proper old-fashioned shop till, but I think instead I'm going to perhaps settle for a tiny piece of paper where somebody works out the figures, and then a little cash box next to it. I think that would be more in keeping with this particular shop. I've got a tiny chair, which I've given a coloured seat. This is just so that whoever runs the shop has got somewhere to rest while they're waiting between customers, because I'm certain they're not exactly overrun by customers. And that I do actually want to dress, even though it's quite a small piece. I want to actually have something that's sort of hanging off it, but I'll explain about that in a little while. And then the others are shelves. I've got a bookcase, I've got the tall shelves, and I've got the tall corner shelves. And obviously this gives me a lot of space to fill. And yeah, that's going to be quite interesting. So that's what we're going to do now. I've got a few ideas of what I can do to put on some of these shelves. Obviously, I think I need to make some books. I made some books for raven's perch, and it was a bit of a monotonous quality. So I've got a bookcase here. A bookcase to me says it needs books, so I'm going to make some books to go in that in a little while. If I can remember how I did it before, that'd be even better. Now this piece, the corner unit, I've got much deeper shelves, so I think I can actually afford to put some pieces on here that are a bit more pronounced. And thinking about things that might be in a sort of magical, mystical, slightly spooky sort of a shop, I thought about crystals. And I've got this little box full of gemstone chips. Now, this is how I bought it. Actually, it isn't, because I've used quite a few out of here. But what I'm hoping is that I can find a few that will fit on at least one of the shelves here, so it looks like you've got some crystals that you can purchase. So I've got my tweezers, because they are going to be necessary, and I know I'm going to have to disregard most of the stones in here because they're just far too big for this scale of piece. Now, see, I'm going to have to tip them out, so do excuse the noise. And as you can see, most of the smaller ones are little chips, but I think if we glue them on in the right way, we can make a bit of a scene that works. I've got a few here. I thought that was another one, but it wasn't. It was the end of one. And I might just look to see if I've got some more elsewhere, because I have got some more gemstone chips in other places. So I'm going to clear this up so that I'm not getting confused, and then we'll look at attaching some of these crystals to the shelves. I've pulled out a few more chips from my actual bead gemstone chips. These have got little holes through them, except for the tiny amethyst one there, which is actually amethyst. This is one that actually broke, so it's got a very rough sort of look as a result. So I've got a variety of colours and sizes. They're all kind of very much of a muchness, because that's what will fit in the spaces. And I have selected a few other pieces that are going to go elsewhere in the shop. I've actually stuck a couple into place on the top of the bookcase. That's going to add a little bit of interest there. The other pieces I think are supposed to be a bit taller, so they wouldn't be quite so obvious. And I've got a bigger one that I think is going to go onto the actual shop counter, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right in with my glue, and I'm going to decide that I'm going to put something around about there and just put a blob of glue. Just a small blob of glue, and I'm going to get one of my stones, and I'm going to see if I can pick this one up with the tweezers. I'm going to pop him into place in the bookcase. Now it's a bit lopsided because the crystal's not designed to sit nicely, so what I may do is I'll turn him around a little bit. That's okay. Again, I use my tweezers just to position it into place, and I'm going to add some more both to this shelf and possibly the shelf above, which is going to give me quite a bit of the space on here filled. And I can imagine that in real life there'd be, you know, lots of crystals, but I've just got to sort of represent it in this scale. I have to keep reminding myself that I am only representing in this scale, that I can't get the level of detail necessarily that I would want in my bigger pieces. Now I've got a piece of garnet here, which is a drilled chip for jewellery making. and see if I can get it into place. Now I know this one won't fit in with the tweezers. I tried to pick it up with the tweezers before and it ended up on the floor. And as you can see, I'm having a right game getting this to sit on the blob of glue. It's stuck though. And to be fair, I don't think that anybody but me, and obviously anybody that's watching this video, will be aware of the level of detail that's gone into this piece. People never are at this scale, but I like putting in at least a hint of detail. So I'm going to carry on doing this. I'm not going to stick all 8 on camera because it will take quite a while and it'll get repetitive, but you get the idea. And I'll show you this at the next stage when I've decided what's going to go on the other shelves. By searching through my little drawers of treasures, I found some beads that, although rather big at this scale, could work for containers that could hold potion ingredients and things like that. And then some that might just be a pot that somebody might buy. So I'm going to continue filling these, which has now got a nice selection of crystals. I hope you can see that. By adding some of those. And also I found my little iridescent bugle beads, and I've actually got a load of these, and I'm going to put them on the bottom shelf, and I'm going to make them look like they might be little bottles or vials of something. Quite large vials, I think, but you know, more ingredients. So I'm going to do more of the same, more of the applying a bit of glue to my shelf, and then applying one of the pieces. And this is not going to work very well, I'm afraid. My tweezer skills today are sadly lacking. But if I, yes, get that in there, we'll find another and pop it upright. And you can see that I can have quite a stack of those round there. Maybe even put one further back and then one in front, so it looks like there's one missing, so it looks like there might be a couple of rows of them. That's going to take me some time, so I'm going to move on to one of the bigger ones. We'll put one of the bigger ones there. Now hopefully these will be a bit better. These are very pretty metal beads that get onto the glue. Now the problem is I'm trying to do this so that you can see, and I think, no, he's not stuck. There's not enough glue to stick it. Find something that's a bit tackier and put a bigger blob. This is sometimes the case that you have to play around with things. And we'll pop him into that, and then again get the cocktail stick to reposition him. It's a bit of faff to put stuff in at this size, but I think it's worth it in the end. Now I'm going to carry on with this. Again, I'm going to do it off camera because, as you can see, it's not easy, and I'm going to try and get all these pieces onto this shelf. Wish me luck. I have completed sticking all the bits in place on my corner shelves. I do like how this looks. It's just going to give it a depth that I need for this little shop. It just looks like there is actually something up for sale. So I'm now going to move on to the next shelf in size, which is the tall shelves. Now these are not as deep. And on this one I want to put across that there is a lot of jars. And so what I've made is I've actually made some little tiny jars, if you can see that on the end of my finger, which is by sticking 2 clear seed beads together. And then I've also made some boxes, which are here, which are just 2 layers of some scrap mat board stuck together and then coloured with my alcohol markers. And I'm going to fill the shelves with these. I'm going to have, I think it's 3 shelves of boxes and 2 shelves of the jars. At least that's the idea. This is just a really, really simple way of filling the shelves. I could buy some 3D printed jars. There are some really, really nice ones out there, but they're a bit pricey. And I would rather spend my budget on the furniture and more houses, to be fair, and to make do with little shelf fillers like these. So I'm going to stick these in off camera because again they're small, I keep dropping them, and then I'll show you what this one looks like before I move on to the bookcase. And I do know what I'm doing with the bookcase, I just need to get busy with the alcohol markers again. Everything is in place on my tall shelves, my boxes and my little faux glass jars. Obviously in an ideal world there'd be some kind of indication that there was something in there, but it's not an ideal world, and at this scale I'm happy with that. So that's ready to go in, and as is my bookcase, which I have filled with lots of brightly coloured books. To make the books I take a strip of mat board that I cut down to about the right size. That's not very straight, which is why I haven't used this one. And what I then do is I colour with my alcohol markers on both sides. Then I colour the end and I cut a bit off, and I colour the end and cut a bit off, and eventually I get left with something like that. I've actually got quite a few of these left, the little bits I've cut off, which I've put aside in case I want them for elsewhere in the building. Not sure that I will, but it's always good to have the option. So with the shelves finished, I'm going to do some work on the shop counter. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in the shop counter, even if I'm going to put anything in the shop counter at this stage. I may just stick a few beads or something in there so it just looks like there's something, and then make some kind of a cash box for the top. But onwards and upwards. I have done my few little bits that I wanted to do with the counter and the chair. Now, starting with the chair, I've draped a little bit of fabric over the side. I think I want to actually put another little pleat there, maybe. I wanted it to look like there was something like a cape, not a full-on cloak, but a cape sort of draped over the side. And I think that might do it, because some capes are a bit more structured. But that's just to sort of give that chair a little bit of something. And then with the shop counter, I've made my little cash box with its slightly over the top handle. I've got some paper next to it, and then I've made a little ink well and pen combination. It's just a bead and some wire, but it kind of works. And then I've got another one of my crystals stuck on the counter, a bigger one, a bit of a statement piece. Now, I wasn't sure what I was going to put inside this counter, but I decided that if this is a magic shop, we need some wands. And on this little piece of mirrored card, I've stuck some wire wands, and I'm just going to glue this into place now. Just put a bit of glue on the back of the card, and we'll pop that onto the shelf. I'm going to stick it at a bit of an angle, a bit of a offset, not straight in the middle. And then you can just see, hopefully you can see on camera, that there's something there. Now I'm going to put these pieces and the haberdashery counter in. The shelves are in, they're stuck in place and they're looking fantastic. And the only other thing I've got to add at the moment, although I've got lots of other ideas of things I could put into this shop, is I found this little charm of a pumpkin. Now I've added a bit of texture to it. I coloured the stalk and vine bit green, and I got some on the pumpkin, and it sort of made the pumpkin look a little less than perfect, and I think that's going to be great. And I'm going to put that on the floor by the counter in a moment. So I'm going to go and do that rather than trying to get things into the house, property, shop, at a funny angle so that you can see, and then I'll come back and I'll show you the finished shop area. And here we have my finished shop. It looks absolutely brilliant. I am almost certain that you're not going to be able to see it as well as perhaps I would like on camera, because it is just so small. I am really pleased with the level of detail I've managed to get into this, and I'm looking forward to finishing the rest of the property. But yeah, we've got a shop, and if anybody's looking for anything sort of magical or mystical, they need to pop in here. I do hope you've enjoyed this second part of my 1/48 scale build. I will be back soon with the rest of the property. I'm aiming to finish it in another video. I don't know how long that's going to take, but we will get there. If you have enjoyed the video, please like, comment and subscribe. Maybe even ring that bell so you know when I've uploaded a video. I upload pretty much every week, but no promises made. And until next time, bye!